Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the Team Bardock Extreme Super Battle Road stage, and we're going to be taking a look at how difficult the Team Bardock Extreme Super Battle Road stage is, basically. We're also going to only be using the free-to-play Team Bardock units, so we have the Team Bardock unit LR as our lead. And then beyond that, we're using a friend tech Bardock. So Team Bardock is obviously pretty much relegated to being a free-to-play team. There are some notable summonable options that are definitely better than the options that you'll get from the free-to-play units. And so if you do have them, you should obviously use them. Those options distinctly being the Int Tora, the physical Fascia, and the Tech Bardock himself. Obviously Tech Bardock is an incredibly strong unit, but in general I would say the Team Bardock free-to-play EZAs do a very good job overall. Obviously I'm only using those units along with the LR Team Bardock, so that kind of surmises where I'm going with the team build. So before we talk about team build, let's just talk about the units quickly that you can consider using. So in terms of usable units, there's the physical LR team, or the physical LR Bardock, the Tech Bardock, the Int Tora, and the physical Fascia. Those are all the summonable units you can consider using. Otherwise, you probably want to use the free-to-play units instead. I would definitely suggest, if you don't have those units, don't bother with any other units, just use the full free-to-play team. As a friend lead, obviously we're using the Tech Bardock, who is a storied figures lead, which all of the Team Bardock units are on, for whatever reason, of 170% plus 30% for characters who belong to the Pure Sans category. Bardock essentially can't activate his entrance animation because we don't have a Goku on the team, but it's not a huge issue. We basically are going to be sorted. The final phase as well also has you facing a Frieza, so this means that we have a little bit of an advantage because Bardock is going to be able to foresee super attacks within that turn. We will be using items, and the items we're using are Mouse, or the Mice item, which reduces attack and defense of the opposition. We're then going to be using Icarus, Whis, and we're using a Princess Snake, and we're using the updated level 5 Curious Destiny Bulma support memory. Why are we using all of these? Well, because we're going to need them. As you can see, the Bardock units take quite a substantial amount of damage with even just one item active, so it's very important that we have quite a bit of additional support for the team, basically, to cut a long story short. Overall though, I would say the team does a pretty decent job without being distinctly overpowered. I think if we had some of the summonable units in the team, then we could definitely possibly push for a free-to-play run. However, I think at the end of the day, this is kind of where we, I would say kind of where we're okay to sit at this point in time. As our lead, we're using the Int LR Team Bardock. This is obviously the unit that you get from having various copies of Team Bardock, so having them all EZA'd, having them all 100%, etc. So this Team Bardock is only 120% lead, and you can't rainbow them yet, which is a little bit of a problem, or at least a little bit of a hindrance. And even if they were rainbowed, they'd still take quite a lot of damage. Why it's taken them so long to rainbow this unit and to even EZA them is a bit confusing, but it is what it is. I guess because they don't want to buff super teams too much, but it's not even like they're on a bunch of super teams. So just a bit of a weird decision considering how strong the LR physical Ginyu Force and Tech Ginyu Force units are. In terms of the other units, we're going to be pairing up in one rotation the Strength Bardock alongside the Fascia. So we have Strength Bardock alongside the Int Fascia, and the reason why we're combining those two is because Bardock has a very high level of damage reduction, which makes him a pretty good first option, along with his sealing capabilities, which means we can target units to seal. And then Int Fascia lowers attack and defense, which does help quite substantially as well. Fascia also provides support when she does an evasion, and obviously her evasion level is pretty decent as well. So beyond that, that's obviously how we want to run that one rotation. Basically, yeah, with Bardock's seal, we mainly are prioritizing any physical units for the most part, and the reason being is because the physical units, if they super the LR Team Bardock, could do a ton of damage. Like, even with 2 items active, they'll still do quite a lot of damage, so that's why we're running that pairing. In the other pairing rotation, we're going to have the Tech Bardock, so that is the Tech friendly Bardock, paired up with the AGL Borgos. Now AGL Borgos is pretty solid, and the reason being is his stunning capabilities. So he has a high chance to stun, plus he also has basically a guaranteed additional super attack when facing 2 or more enemies. This generally means that for the most part he's in a good situation whereby we're able to basically, stun lock one of the enemies. And this is pretty crucial because after the first phase, where you face multiple enemies, you actually only face 2 enemies in round 2 and 1 enemy in the 3rd round, which is Frieza. So at this point you actually really just kind of want to prioritize stunning the opposition, because it's going to dramatically change how much damage you can take, which is pretty good. Then beyond obviously Borgos and Bardock, the floating units that we're going to have are the Physicals Shugesh. A pretty strong unit. It's really good when you can to prioritize him being after Bardock, especially in the Frieza phase. And the reason being is Bardock can seal Frieza, and the Shugesh can actually guarantee stun him afterwards, as Shugesh will stun any unit that is sealed. So that's a pretty good combination to remember for the Frieza stage. However, I did not apply that, because even though I preach good practice, I am a fool. And then finally, the last unit is Tora. Tora provides some healing and just general support, whilst also raising his attack and defense. Ideally, I just don't really think he's got priority. His support is nice and his heal is nice, but with the Bulma support memory and the Princess Snake, we have enough healing to not really warrant any of that. You'll often notice that I'm double layering my damage reduction items, and this is something you should consider doing, especially when you have the LR Team Bardock on rotation. So I'm not really double layering, but I am when LR Team Bardock's on the rotation, because even with a like Whis or a Icarus active, he'll just take too much damage. Like, he'll just in general take far too much damage, or they will take too much damage, whichever one you want to use. So ideally you want to double layer your damage reduction, or double layer like a mouse item with like an Icarus, or a mouse item with a Whis at this point, because it is something that's going to be, like very, very much super important, at least for me. And yeah, honestly, I would say quite ideally, from my side, it's just the best option, because it guarantees you're not going to die. So at the end of the day, I find it to be the best option overall. But beyond that, when you're facing Frieza, the friend Tech Bardock is going to cover a lot of ground with his 4C super attacks ability, and so you should be fine. If you can get Frieza to be stunned as well, then generally speaking you're in a pretty good position. So yeah, just honestly not too much of an issue. I didn't really have like a huge problem in the final phase, and in general the ESBR was quite easily doable with just the free-to-play units. If you are struggling, you can obviously look at changing their equipment. You can look at getting some better gear from the Trial Toward a New Horizon event, which is obviously suitable. But yeah, in general, I would say it's a pretty easy, straightforward, like, run. I honestly didn't really have any substantial difficulties with this, so at the end of the day, I think you should be fine. And like I said, if you have the summonable units, then you're in for a much better time overall, so definitely try that. And if you have the Tech Bardock, then you're also definitely in for a better time as well. So I highly suggest you look at all of those as your options. But yeah, beyond that, I would say that pretty much covers everything you need to know. I don't think there's anything else, to mention, and I think it's a pretty fun ESBR, if not a unspectacular one. But it always kind of is with these free-to-play teams, because they obviously generate the stage to be able to be completed. So with just a couple items and everything, you should be more than fine to take on the stage, and yeah, you should be pretty good overall, at least from my side. But that's basically going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. So until then, as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But until then, see you, and of course, bye.